while we talking about death.
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes says, "Better go to the house of mourning than to the house of laughter." So,
Ooh.
because when you talk about death, you actually think about your entire life, the scope of your life. If you're doing everything funny that you're supposed to be doing, if you're really reaching out your funny dreams. So don't take this as a downer if you listening or watch, and just know that, like, if a comedian is talking about death is an opportunity for you just to kind of examine yourself. Like, what if you died, right? A month from now? Have you set up all the comedy dreams that you wanted to go after? So, boom.
Welcome to Well Metaverse, the podcast where Jason Earls and Aaron Sorrells navigate the explosive growth in the metaverse. Buckle up because we are in for a heck of a ride.
All right, welcome back to another episode of whatever this thing is going to be called that me and Jason are digging into. Of course, last week we had a number or just a wonderful conversation about our experiences and where this thing is heading. And this week we're going to pick back up and hopefully dig into a little bit more conversation on what we're doing here with this podcast or vidcast, and then also specifically some of the challenges that I've been running into this week in the metaverse. Jason, I'd love to get your perspective on that and your counsel, your mentorship, your
Sweet.
guidance. So, Jason, man, welcome back. This is so cool to connect with you again.
Thanks, brother, man. It's always good to be able to hang out with you, brother, and just consistently always encouraged by what you got going, dude, and your heart for things to be done well with excellence and done right.
There it
You know.
is. Wisdom from I don't know where that came from again. Yeah, yeah. So before we jump into that, though, man, how you doing?
Dude, I'm hanging in there, man. I'm hanging in there. I got a head cold, and we've had to, don't let this take you down, but it's just, you asked how I was doing. Dude, we probably had the most difficult, um, we're going through a difficult grieving point. One of a very close family friend passed away. And so we had the funeral yesterday, man, and just walking my kids through that. She gave us a gift by allowing my kids to grieve the way that they have been. My kids never been hurt like this. So man, it's good. It's tough seeing them hurt, but it's good. And I know some people like, man, this is a comedy podcast, yo. Like, why are we talking about death?
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes says, better go to the house of mourning than to the house of laughter. So,
Ooh.
because when you talk about death, you actually think about your entire life, the scope of your life. If you're doing everything funny that you're supposed to be doing, if you're really reaching out your funny dreams. So don't take this as a downer if you listening or watch, and just know that, like, if a comedian is talking about death is an opportunity for you just to kind of examine yourself. Like, what if you died, right? A month from now? Have you set up all the comedy dreams that you wanted to go after? So,
Oh
boom.
man, I feel for you. I'm sorry that you're going through that grieving process, but it sounds like you're in a very healthy place with it. I'm so sorry for your loss. So sorry for the pain that you feel watching your kids go through that loss. And I feel for you. I appreciate your transparency. You know, it's tempting to put on this mask and be like, oh, everything's shiny and happy. And I appreciate how genuine you are and just getting on and just starting right off with some vulnerability and truth. Thank you.
Bro, bro, I done cried so much, man. The funeral is
Oh,
yesterday. After the funeral, I got in the car and I just broke down crying. But it's good. It's like, that's part of the healing process, is grieving. And if you don't grieve, if you hold that stuff in, one, you have a headache, a monster
yeah.
headache. But one thing, it's funny, man. Like, yeah, I appreciate your sentiments, but it's always awkward when people say, "Man, sorry for your loss." Like, what's the appropriate response? You be like, Yeah, thanks. Like,
Right.
like,
No.
right.
I
You
hear you.
talking about
Like,
some, oh, so,
why?
thanks.
Did you have something to do with it?
Right.
Like, yeah. that's
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
too
And
funny, man.
I think back to a couple years back when my dad passed away, and
Uh,
um, and that was a really difficult time. He ended up in the hospital. They diagnosed him with advanced Parkinson's disease, and 3 weeks later, he had passed away.
really?
Um, and that hurt, but there were some beautiful things during that time that I wouldn't have been able to experience in any other setting than that.
Yeah.
There were some beautiful conversations that he and I had. Man, he looked at me and he said, "I know what's happening. I know what this means for you, but don't worry. There's somebody that I really want to meet." And
Wow.
like he just said, like I got goosebumps right now thinking
Yeah.
back on it. And like that process, that process of feeling that pain
Yeah.
opened up an opportunity to experience a blessing that wouldn't have been there
No
otherwise.
doubt. No doubt. So that's cool, man. It's, that's cool. I always wondered what it'd be like when my dad passed, because my dad and I close, and I'm like, or and even walking this through, like what it'd be like for my kids, because my kids and I are very close. And I was like, man, that's it's gonna happen to all of us one day, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So shout
yeah.
out to
Well,
Kirkland. I don't know if they sponsoring this, but to the
eh,
Kirkland's sparkling water.
oh yeah. And yeah, I'm a Costco man through and through. I ought
Yes,
to probably
sir.
hit them
Yes,
up
sir,
for
man.
a. Yep, I got that. And this shirt came from Costco. Yeah, the Mac that you're on right now came from Costco. Yeah, I spend just a little bit more money with them than I did putting kids through college. But
That's funny. Yeah, man.
yeah,
Costco is it's a great club to be a part of. That's for sure.
yeah, yes, indeed. So, man, let me bring you up to speed, if you don't mind, on a couple of things that happened this week in the
Let's do it.
metaverse. Uh, so, we've been booming. Uh, Gutties is arguably the most popular uh, destination in all of Horizon Worlds now.
Yeah.
It's been up there, and it's undeniably it's at least in the top few. But I think it's the top one. Yesterday they released communication through the Horizon Worlds community Facebook group,
Uh-huh.
and Gutties was at the top of their list, talking about they put a door to Gutties in the plaza, which is kind of the main landing area, and
Yeah.
it's a huge honor to be included in that. And the
Wow.
criteria that they use is how many people visit, how long they stay, and then there's some other factors that are super secret algorithm stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, guys, but a couple weeks in, the owners of Gutties and I decided to part ways. Jason and I talked through that decision and the process involved in episodes 3 and 4. But until then, just know that the comedy club in Horizon Worlds, also known as the metaverse, that we are referring to, is known as the Soapstone Comedy Club. All one word, Soapstone Comedy Club. So if you're looking for us, that's how you will find us. Thanks. Now back to the podcast. That happened on actually the same day that we were wrapping up a huge update in Gutties. Me and the building team, which just a quick shout out to these builders that I'm working with. My goodness, they are exceptional. Like they are digging in and just wading through code, trying to make the
Wow.
experience as good as possible. And they actually just legalized and formed their company. It's called Inspire, spelled NSPIRE,
Yeah.
Creative Labs. And these guys, like, watch out, because this company, like, it's going to be big, But
Wow.
anyway, we're wrapping up this update, and boom, all of a sudden, um, visitors go through the roof, because we're in the plaza, and
Yeah.
it's just wild. So I mean, we're up to and I think, oh yeah, over 13,000 visitors through Gutties now, and those
Wow.
are all unique visitors. Many people that I talk to come to Gutties every day and hang
Wow.
out and all this. But it's out of them 13,000, there's a handful that are bad apples. There's a
Yeah.
handful that are quite literally just there to destroy what we're trying to build. And
Right.
man, it's heartbreaking. It's difficult to deal with. Um, it's tough, and that's been a struggle, man, to deal
Yeah.
with the explosive growth of community while trying to connect with the people who are genuine and frankly try to weed out the people that are specifically there to destroy it.
Right. Wow. That's do you sound it sound like Jesus, bro. You got the wheat and the tares. You try to
Man, uh, yeah, that's a tough comparison to hear. I mean, obviously we want our walks to represent Christ and that, but sometimes actually it's gotten weird a couple times in the metaverse because
really.
I have a big name tag that says World Creator, and people
Yeah.
have people have gone there. Oh, all hail the Creator, and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, this is like this can't. The dynamic of that is way off.
Right. So so when you say they're destroying the room, what exactly are they doing?
Okay, so here's the deal. I've partnered up with Steve and Dennis and Kyle at Gutties, and we've created a room that's dedicated to clean comedy.
Right.
And there are people that do not like that. There are
Yeah.
people that have come at me hard saying that I'm cancel culture and I'm trying to stifle them and I don't care about culture and I don't care about funny because clean comedy can't be fun. Like just coming at me. And then there's people that'll come into the room and just start screaming obscenities just to disrupt things.
Yeah.
There's also some people, in any culture, but especially when you get in online, there's some people that are predatory. They're trying to hurt people. And
Right.
there was a situation that I heard about that happened in the club. Uh, and like a number of people came in and surrounded a woman that was in there by herself and started screaming racial remarks at her, started screaming profanities at her, and the people around are trying to stop it, and they literally heard her break down crying. Like,
Wow.
like that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. The people that are trying to destroy what we're trying to do, and they have ill intent. They have
Yeah.
ill intent, and I mean, I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah. So I think of the phrase, I forget who coined it, but culture eats strategy for breakfast. And so you have your excuse me. So you have your strategies that you want to start doing stuff, but it's like let's look at what is the current culture of those who frequent. Like, so what would you say the current culture of Gutties is?
So it's hard to define for a couple reasons. One, it's brand new, and two, it's big and diverse. You
Right.
know, so I guess the culture that we're going for, and there are several people that are engaging in this, but the culture that we're going for is, is clean, safe, and supportive. We want a culture that people can come in and experience getting on stage. People can come in and experience conversation. Um, in an environment where they're not subject to abrasive things.
Right. And so when people are coming in saying that you're trying to kill comedy, that you cancel culture, Where are they saying that at?
In Gutties, this morning before this call that we're on, I was in there checking things out, and somebody came up and basically approached me with that. He came up, and it was a respectful, good conversation, but it was
Yeah,
representative of that. He came up and he's like, "Hey, I just want to ask, are you going to allow profanities in this room at any time?" And I said, "No, that's not what we're trying to do. There
right,
won't be a spot for that in Gutties." And he said, "Well, I just want you to know that me and Joe Rogan and a bunch of other people think that you're part of the problem, and you're trying to stifle people." And I'm like, "Listen, I'm not telling you what you can do. I'm telling you what you can't do in here.
right,
Like you can go watch, you can go do whatever you want. But people don't have the right to do anything they want anywhere they want."
right.
So, and I think he kind of got it. I'll tell you, a crowd gathered around, and people in the crowd got it. Uh, but but I mean, that was a small conversation out of with thousands of other people that I can't have that conversation with.
Absolutely. It makes me wonder though, man. Like if if I'm sorry, it makes me wonder, like him dropping Joe Rogan's name. Was he a popular dude, or was he just trying to use Joe Rogan to?
Oh, I don't he doesn't have any relationship with Joe
Yeah,
Rogan.
see,
He
right,
he
that
just
right. So I would
yeah
call
yeah
that
yeah
stuff out. I'm like, what? Like one, most guys, most cats who are really professional get it. Like, yo, there's some
oh yeah
like there's a comedy club here in Dallas called the Backdoor Comedy Club, and you can't do material that can't be on. Like their goal is to prepare you for TV.
hmm
So you're not gonna be able to drop. It's you got to do clean sets. So yeah, man, I think what dudes who go there probably aren't. They're still trying to climb the ladder, and so they haven't learned professional control.
mm, yeah
Uh, so that's I would start calling that stuff out in the conversation with them.
hmm
Very graciously. Just like so. And you've had success doing comedy.
yeah
Because if you had success doing comedy, you're really not trying to get on beg for time on stage in a virtual comedy world.
right
You know,
right
you still at a very young stage. So calling them out on that one, but again, very sternly, very graciously. The other thing is, I wonder. We talked earlier last week about what does it look like to have ambassadors, to have those Gutties comedy ambassadors who are consistently casting vision to people who come.
yeah
So how do you create that? What if there was a Gutties a Gutties basically what do you call it? A Gutties happening
hmm
video, for instance. Like let's say if you had a Gutties interview room somewhere in the club and you invite people into that interview room and you sit down and have a metaverse interview with a comedian or with a person. It's like,
hmm
hey, this person been coming to Gutties for a while. Tell us what you like, and you kind of affirm that person, and you take that video and put it outside the metaverse.
Uh, yes, yes, sir. That's an excellent idea. In fact, I'm taking a note on that too. Now, as far as the conversation that we had before about creating the ambassadors, I've taken action on that. I
Yeah,
created a closed Facebook group called Team Gutties.
Yeah.
And this is the group that's going to cast the vision for the whole team. And
Right.
it's going to be a big group because we can only have 25 people per instance. My goal is to have at least two ambassadors in each one of those instances.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in order to make that work, about 25% of our total population of people engaged with Gutties, I've got to have in that group, you know,
Right.
and those are people that offline and very, very regularly I can communicate vision to. So
Right.
I've started this. It's a closed Facebook group, but there's signs for it all over Gutties, and it's if you want to join the team, apply at the Team Gutties Facebook group, and then you
Yeah.
go in there and there's just three simple questions that people have to ask in order to apply. And one of them is, do you agree to uphold and encourage others to uphold the house rules? Which is no profanity, no sexual topics, um, no racist jokes, and no homophobic jokes. Like, and it's ridiculous how many times I have to tell people that that's not okay.
Yeah.
It's so they got to acknowledge that and answer it. And then, do you agree to keep the environment rolling smoothly and fun? and
Right.
and then, is there anything else you want me to know? So those are the three questions, and if they answer those questions, man, they're on the team.
Yeah.
And they get a code, a backstage code, so that they can go backstage, because we've in the update that we did, we've blocked everything off, so people that come in there can only be in the audience now.
Yeah.
But if they're on the team, then they can go backstage, and there's little buttons that go on, that clip onto their chest. One says host and one says tech, and then they've got full access to all the controls and everything. They can be on
Yeah.
stage anytime they want. So there's some pretty cool benefits to doing it.
Wow.
But in order to get it, they've got to say, hey, one, I'm listening to you, because they got to go through a lot of hoops. They got to be in the room. They got to decide they want to be involved. Then they have to go find the Facebook group. Then they got to answer the questions. Then they got to stay up to date on this code that's changing all the time. And,
Right.
and then they can engage. So if they're
Yeah.
willing to go through that, then great. The idea that you just said about the interviews with the people, that is something that I want to do, because I'm having these conversations, and they're great conversations. Sometimes with people that are on board and supportive, and sometimes with
Right.
people that disagree with me. But both of those, there's a place to produce and publish both of those.
All right. My daughter's calling. I actually missed the call, so I'm gonna let y'all see the conversation. I'll let y'all. She's leaving the country. She's going to study
And
in
this is
Brazil.
this is inside stuff right here. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing.
you get to see what kind of father I am. Hey, baby, what's happening with you? About to eat lunch? Yo, you were born for this, man. Yeah, last night I was thinking. You remember when you and I went to South Africa? And you remember when we got off the plane? I said, "You in charge? I'm following you." All that was preparation for this. Now it's like I intentionally took you to a foreign country and let you lead the way. So you've been prepared for this whole time, man. You gonna crush it. All right, let me pray with you. Let's talk again before you leave, but let's pray right now since we got time. All right. God, I'm so grateful that that you saved me, that you saved Alex, and it's through our walk with you that you've presented these opportunities to her, for her. So God, as she goes, man, to Brazil, so excited. God bless the trip, the journey there. As she's there, continue to develop her as an amazing leader. Allow her giftedness to be sharpened. God, I pray you protect her. I pray that you give her new insights, deeper insights, a greater fire for you. Uh, And Lord God, just allow her to learn a whole lot. I'm so grateful for this opportunity for her to go. And just bless her and the rest of the students, the team, the fellows as they go as well. Um, I pray you just continue to just protect her heart with her brother not being able to go. I pray that you protect his heart as he's and I pray if it's possible that he's able to go still. So allow uh him to be delivered from that virus. In Jesus' name, amen. That's good. I'm rooting for it. That'll be good. Do your thing, girl. Dang, I'm proud of you, man. And you're so pretty too. Don't get yeah, don't get snatched up while you over there. All right. I love you. I'll call you a little later. All right. What time does y'all flight actually leave? Okay. Okay. All right then. Come on, Brazil. Let's go. All right. Call your mama. All right, bye. All right, brother.
Man, you're a great dad.
Thanks, brother. Thanks,
The
man.
the the way that you interact with your daughter in just a genuine and supportive way, being you. Like
Yeah.
that's like people sometimes try to be someone who they're not in front of their kids, and that's just you. Man,
Yeah.
thanks for including me in that call. It was a beautiful thing.
Oh, you're welcome, man. But that's yeah, it's man, I learned a lot. My dad actually taught me this, man, because I went through this phase of like I would act one way one minute and act another way in front of other people.
Mm,
And my dad said, man, Jason, be yourself. Because when you're not yourself, you make it impossible for people to love you
mm,
because you're
mm.
consistently giving them somebody else to love.
Wow, wow.
Yo, that was like so people genuinely like really want to love you. But if
Yeah.
you're not being yourself, you're giving them somebody else to love and
Mm,
they're failing in their attempt to love you because you're not allowing them to love you.
yeah.
Dude, that dude, at 19 years old, man, my dad told me that, dude. And
Really?
that I
That
never
was,
forget that, man.
19 years old and you heard something your dad told you?
That's
You
hysterical.
were a different guy at 19 than I was. Man,
Yeah, man. So and that's yeah. So then I started really trying to make sure I'm consistently myself, and I want my kids to see me consistent. I don't
yeah,
ever want them to see me talking to them and see me talking to other people, and they're like, "Yeah, that's a different dude."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the interview thing. I think the interview gives people like a different level of buy-in because you've included them into the Gutties system. You've
Hmm.
allowed it. It's an honor to be featured on the number one Horizon World venue. Like, dude, that is such a privilege and honor. So if you interview a person and you make sure in the interview, you make sure that you cast that vision with them once again, even though they probably still get it, but you consistently like communicating that to people who are listening and to the people who you're interviewing. That way, like, man, that is like, so whenever people think Gutties, they should immediately think, yep, these cats really want to help people stay clean, and they got other people. Like that's the overall culture is consistently talked about. But
I love it, man. It's gonna happen. Like next week, next ooh boy, this is the accountability piece. Next week when we get together, I will have an update for you on how that's going and how that's being implemented.
that's good, bro. Absolutely. And dude, you could even interview fans, just non-comedians, but people who come in frequently, and it's just
Oh,
like,
that's
hey,
what I was picturing. The comedians, I
yeah,
got other stuff to interview them, but
right,
yeah, the people that are enjoying the club, the people that have concerns about the club, I want to talk to them, and
Absolutely.
I want to share those conversations. That's great.
That's so good, man. Yeah, and dude, and if I just think before you were a comedian, you're just a fan of comedy, and you went to a place and they interviewed you, and then they put it on their networks, their interview. Dude, that's such like I'm even more bought into to the system now.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. That's there are people in Gutties. There are a lot of people in Gutties that would love the opportunity to have that conversation and share it. You know, that's
Right.
yeah, yeah. That's where it's at. That's my guy Jay Haynes. He's been helping me with some video, and he's a phenomenal video editor. Um, I've I've talked with him about a couple projects, but this project is going to hit our next conversation because these are important. These are things that need
Yeah.
to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like so again, so like to create culture, that's what I thought about. Uh and man, just having those people just consistently being voices and just, even having the conversation with other people who come into the metaverse. Like, man, when I was my first time in there in the Gutties metaverse, one guy who I didn't know came up to me. He was like, "Hey, this your first time in here?" I was like, "Yeah, it is." He was like, "It's a real cool room." He's like, "Man, we get up there and every now and then. I'm not a comedian, but every now and then I get on stage."
Yeah.
So if people can start doing like this your first time here, it's a real good club, man. They really strive on being clean. Like that stuff comes out across the conversation. Just be great.
That's another very good point. Like a welcoming team, like people to
Yeah.
kind of just keep an eye out, like the people that are involved in the Team Gutties Facebook group, to communicate that to them to say, hey, you know, when you see somebody who's there that's obviously new, welcome them and just show them the ropes. Like, hey,
Yeah.
this is what's happening. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
Dude, your administrative gift is amazing, bro.
Uh, Man, I'll tell you, I feel about as snowed under as I could be. Like, you know, like the number of messages that are coming in to me now, like I can't respond and have the conversations that I am accustomed to and I like to, you know. And in
Wow.
the metaverse, you know, anytime I walk into the room and you know, I'm just stating this to talk it through. This isn't a pride thing, but anytime I walk into a room, people are coming up and they send me friend requests. Well, I mean, I can't keep up on them, and
Yeah.
like when the systems that I have to use in order to bring the comedians in to shows, like I
Uh-huh.
can't scroll through a whole big long list of friends. You know, I've got to be able to
Ah,
quickly identify people and bring them in. So like people are paying me a huge honor, like warming my heart by saying I want to be your friend.
right.
And because I don't have the administrative capacity, unfortunately, my response is just non-existent. I can't respond to them. You know,
Yeah.
it's and that's tough. I mean, I like
We
friends.
we got a mega star in the megaverse, y'all.
Yeah, literally dozens of people know my name. Yeah,
That's
that's funny.
cool. So, dude, how did you set up Gutties and what's the world universe?
Horizon Worlds
Oh yeah,
by
Horizon
Meta.
Worlds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So so technically, like, what was the process? Like, okay,
So
so let me walk you through
you didn't
that.
create Horizon World,
No, 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 no. That was a guy named Mark that created that.
okay?
Last name Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, yeah. So
S-
so this was the process that I went through and am going through. Um, First thing is it hit my radar, and the way it hit my radar is my wife actually. She had come into contact with somebody who was involved in the beta test, and learned about it, and she's like, this might be something you want to dig into.
Yeah.
And at first, like, I pushed back on it a little bit. I'm like, that sounds terrifying. People are strapping on goggles that transports them to a different world. I don't want anything to do with that. Like,
Right.
and and then I saw Mark Zuckerberg's State of the Universe address, and it was like, then I thought, oh, wait a minute. When he starts talking about, I'm spending $10 billion a year on building out this platform, and our goal is to bring 1 billion new users into it. Like, then it's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, this is something that is more real than what I know. So I got to
Right.
get in and check it out. And then I just kind of researched it out, and to tell you the truth, I kind of angled a little bit, and I kind of got lucky in a couple ways and got in on the tail end of the beta testing. So
Yeah.
I was in there with all these programmers, that had been in there for a year and a half by themselves, just creating stuff. Like,
Right.
one of my good friends, John McClay. Oh man, this guy, like, he said he was in Horizon Worlds for months before he saw another human being in there. Like, he was just
Really?
he called it hermit mode. He was just in there building, and there was no people. And he said the first time he said the first time that he was in a world and somebody else showed up, he didn't know what to do, so he ran and hid behind a tree.
Oh, that's funny.
so so I happen to be able to come in on the tail end of this thing, where these brilliant designers and testers are in there just trying to figure things out, and I got to meet this incredible community of talented people. And then I, like, it just was a stepping stone thing. Like, I started building Clean Comedy Land, which was my initial vision. Like, I want to build a land that's dedicated to clean comedy and bring
Yeah.
in shows and all this. And I started building that out, and I worked with some people that helped me, start forming those relationships. And then another project came along that I worked on, and then finally I talked to the guys from Gutties about bringing them into Clean Comedy Land. And then as I talked
Right.
to them, I thought, you know what? Um, Even though Clean Comedy Land is the thing that I've poured my heart into, this is going to be better if we just brand it as Gutties. It can't be Gutties in Clean Comedy Land. It just has to be Gutties.
Yeah.
And so talked with them and got it rolling. And again, like, it's the rest is just this collaborative spider web of talent and passion that is not even definable.
Wow. Yeah, so cool, man. Cause it's I was in the Facebook group or the Facebook Horizon Worlds
Yeah, yeah.
and just seeing how big it is now.
Oh
And
yeah,
just seeing
it's
yeah, so cool.
booming. Like, they've just barely touched the throttle. They've just barely hit the throttle. Like, they're gonna put it to the floor pretty soon, at some point in the future. I don't know
Yeah.
when. I don't know how. I just know something's starting right now.
Dude, and talking to Jason.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
listen to
he's
this. Listen to this. That guy. Um, Last night he sent me a text message, and he
uh-huh.
just said, "How can I pray for you?" Man, I've met this guy in cartoon form a handful of times. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, and we've had text messages back and forth a little bit. And this guy's, and they got a ton going on. That church is hopping. He's pulled in a
Right.
lot of different directions. And and he takes the time to just reach out, like, not asking for anything, just saying, man, like, how can I be a blessing? He just said, how can I pray for you? And I haven't even responded yet, because it isn't going to be a quick response. It's going to be,
Right.
if somebody's going to reach out in that genuine of a way, it's going to be a response that, this is exactly how I need you to pray for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that dude he's definitely making an impact, dude, in the metaverse world. So cool, bro. And that might be a dude that you like, dude, send me some ambassadors.
Oh yeah, we will. Our journeys in the metaverse will intertwine.
Yeah,
It's undoubted. You know, I don't know how. I don't know what. You know,
right.
yeah, but it's that's a guy that, you know, our visions are completely different on what we're trying to do, but there's a lot of overlap. You know, there's
Yeah,
the core is lines up. You know.
right. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Have you been? I saw in the in that Facebook group, I saw quite a few people like starting to play with the church idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's getting in there, and there's a good fit for churches in Horizon Worlds. Now, Jason, what they're doing is in Horizon venues, which that's a good fit too. But the advantage that Worlds has over venues is the personal connection. You know, like
Yeah,
you've experienced. So you're seeing already, and you're gonna see more of these of churches that are going there for the genuine interactions. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm not aware of like a church service that's happening like on Sundays in Horizon Worlds. And frankly, I don't know if that's the right fit. You know, it's more like what I was thinking would be great for a church is like you know how all the big churches have the youth group room, and every
yeah,
once in a while the grown-ups get to go in there for something, and they're like,
right.
man, you know, that's kind of what I was thinking. It'd be cool to have a
Absolutely.
youth group room for everybody in Horizon Worlds, you know, that's
Right.
got the game set up, it has the stage, you know, it has all that stuff, but it's a, you know, it's the youth room or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
um
I think that's how it has to work, dude. I think
yeah,
anything else is yeah. But who
but
knows
I
what it
don't know.
take it.
Sorry, I don't know if like the youth room. Like, I'm always cautious about Christianese. That actually, that's probably not a
Right.
good term to use, but that's
Yeah.
I'm
I,
always yeah, I'm always cautious about the jargon and lingo that only Christians understand. And most
yeah.
people that aren't, if they see the youth room, they're not going to go near it. You know, so
Absolutely.
it's got to be that
Yeah.
without being that.
Yeah, I think it's got yeah, you sure enough right. Almost like yeah, it's got to be something. But if enough people get together and say we're going to start showing up there, the popularity would drive it up and
You're
people going to follow.
Yep. Yeah, popularity drives popularity, and it also, like, this was the big revelation with Gutties. Like, when I started it, I thought the big thing was going to be our headliner shows. Man, uh, our headliner shows are great. They're funny. I pick out talent throughout the week that I see in Gutties, and I say,
Yeah.
hey, I need you to come to this headliner show, and that's a cool dynamic. But I mean, that's 1%. 99 plus percent of the experience is the open mic experience. And why
Yeah.
does that resonate? It resonates because it's popular. You know, people drive people. And then
Right.
also because it's not about the headliner comedian. It's not about coming to watch something. It's about experiencing it, you know,
Yeah.
and all that.
That's so cool. You know, it'd be cool. Like, is there? What if there was a cruise ship in the world?
There is.
It is.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. There's a couple for New Year's Eve. There's a group of folks that are collaborating together called Blue Wave Studios, and you know their goal is to produce full feature films in Horizon Worlds. And for New Year's Eve, they built a cruise ship and they threw a New Year's Eve party, and it was cool. It was really cool.
That's so cool, bro. That is
Yeah,
so cool.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man. I think the more I talk to you, the more I get excited about this thing, and the more I see that like a lot of my ideas can happen. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, dude. I'm like, however you need me to play a role, man, I'm in, dude.
That's awesome. I mean, like from a completely selfish perspective, the thing that I need you for is this. I need to have this conversation with
Right.
you on a weekly basis because it breathes life into me. It breathes excitement. And it also grounds me and puts me on a solid foundation. So like the
Yeah.
number one thing from a selfish perspective is us continuing to have this conversation. Outside of that, man, anytime you roll into Gutties, you're going to bring with you, benefit. You're going to bring with you hilarity. You're going to bring with you your presence. You're going to bring with you the opportunity to have these heart to heart conversations. So, I mean, yeah, anytime you're, once you got your set yet, you got your Oculus yet?
I have not, man. I nope.
Somebody,
I almost did, but I wound up the extra money I had. I bought a suit with it so I could
I
go to the
got you.
funeral.
Yeah,
Dude, all
yeah,
my
yeah.
all my suits too small now.
They shrink over time, don't they?
Dude, man, COVID got into my suits, bro. Shrunk
Oh,
all of them.
man, yeah. I had that same issue. Like all my clothes shrunk, and suddenly my mirrors changed. Like somebody came up and like bent them outward just a little bit,
That's
you know.
hysterical. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
but I
So
did. I actually, my wife and I ended up doing this diet called Octavia, and it worked out pretty well. We were on it for a couple months, and we both lost pretty substantial weight. I found a little bit of it over the holidays, but so like I went down in weight pretty dramatically, and then it flatlined, and then the holidays hit, and I gained like 7 pounds back or something like that, and then now I've lost a little bit back again, but.
I'm actually doing Octavius um their national gathering, conference or whatever you
Are
call it.
you really?
Yeah, I am, man. I had never heard of
Man.
Octavia, but some people know me who's heavily involved in their leaders. So they booked me to do their national deal next month,
So
actually.
so now podcast sponsored by Costco and Octavia.
That's it, bro. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Well, that's cool. That's cool that you're going to share some laughs with them and your story. That's cool.
Yeah, man. It'll be good.
All
So,
right.
man,
Well, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
I hope I helped you with that, with the ideas, man. That's unless you got some other questions. That's all I had with that, dude. The
Yeah, that's great. I mean, if I can walk away with one big action item from these conversations, that's great. As well as all the less tangible things,
yeah,
the encouragement and that. So yeah, I think that pretty well wraps it up. Talking about what to name this, and I know it's not that crucial that we pick a name, but I think something having to do with metaverse would make
yeah.
sense. You know, like metaverse moments came to mind, but I don't think that's it. Uh, Metaverse
Behind the
mentorship.
metaverse.
What's that?
Behind the metaverse.
All right, all right, all right.
Well,
Or
I don't know.
maybe inside the
Yeah,
metaverse. Uh, yeah. So now I'm in the metaverse. Yeah. So something had to do with metaverse, or maybe not. Maybe it's Horizon specific. Nah, metaverse is better because
no, you got to
people.
keep metaverse in there,
Yep, yep.
dude. I'm gonna tell you what's funny, man. And I'll stop talking after this, dude. I was telling the guy who's over missions at my church about the importance of like being involved with the metaverse.
Uh huh.
And man, that brother switched conversations on me. I was like, "You don't get it."
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's people don't get it, and
Yeah,
and it's not their fault. Like it's so different. People cannot they
yeah,
can't understand what it is until they
yeah,
experience it. Yeah. So
yeah, man. And you got to be careful not to get upset with people when they don't get it. Just like, yo,
yeah,
try to
yeah.
find another way to tell them at another moment.
Right. Right, right, and that's
Yeah,
and that's fine. And frankly, there's people that are a lot better funded than us. That their mission is to introduce people to the metaverse overall, you know,
Yeah,
like like the company Meta, you know,
no
podcast
doubt.
sponsored by Costco, Octavia, and Meta.
And Meta.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's cool. Yeah, we don't have to. Well, again, I mean, it comes back to that cornerstone thing in my philosophy of the Serenity
Yeah,
Prayer. God grant me the serenity, to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know, that right there. Like, how we can share about the metaverse and be like, yo, this is good, but how they respond to it and receive it, that's outside of our control.
that's great. Hey, let me ask you a question regarding the Serenity Prayer.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
grew up with with family members who had that posted on their wall. Does that mean that all of them were alcoholics and I didn't know
um, yeah, yeah. If you see that Serenity Prayer, like, watch out, watch out, because no,
it?
yeah, that's a funny one, in a lot of ways, it's like crept into culture, like the footsteps prayer, like, oh, why
Yeah,
did I only see one step, so it's been adopted by lots of different components of culture, but like it is a cornerstone to people in recovery, and not just Christ-centered recovery. You know,
right,
the agnostic, or the branches of recovery that talk about just a higher power and not a specific higher power. That Serenity Prayer, that is still cornerstone
wow,
to what's going on.
wow. That's so cool, so cool. Good stuff, brother.
All right, man. Well, I'm looking forward to reconnecting in a week. Again, like it's so neat to have these little mile markers each week,
Right.
because it's amazing when we reconnect and see how much has changed in just one week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's cool.
All right, man. Well,
So
I
good, man.
appreciate you so much. Everybody listening, I appreciate you a great deal. And we will talk to you again soon. Out.
Peace.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We will be back next week with a brand new episode, and you can always find us at jasonearls.com, theunemployedalcoholic.com, or at the Soapstone Comedy Club in Horizon Worlds.